So I was thinking about exactly how the rules of the Bonnie Prince douchebag drinking game should work. Mm-hmm. And here's where I've landed. Tell me if you think this is reasonable.
Okay.
So here are the rules. Rule 1. Every time he says, mark me, you have to take a shot.
Yes.
Or like a big chug of beer, let's say. Right?
Fine.
Rule number 2. Every time he says, mark me, and you have to take a big chug of beer, you have to take an additional big chug of beer.
Because he fucking said.
Because he said, mark me. And every time he says it, it feels like at least 4 times. So
It's
maybe,
true.
And then every time you have to take a drink of beer because you had to take a drink of beer because he said, mark me, then you have to take another drink of beer.
So that's like every time he says, mark me, you have to take 3 shots?
3? Yeah, we'll say 3.
That's like an exponential game.
It is. It's like a fucking logarithm.
You're like, drink a logarithm. Logarithm.
You guys. I didn't even mean that. Oh,
Janine does not
pissed.
approve. Janine does not approve.
Like that.
And then maybe every time he makes a face like he just peed a little, then you also have to drink. Which he does a lot. There's a lot of like,
Shout out to @JenMoniz. We'd be fucking hammered in 5 minutes.
yeah. The courtesy of Jen Moniz, if you had to drink every time that we said GILF in the last episode, then you'd be blackout drunk within 20 minutes.
Truth.
So previously on GILF, I'm Allison Shoemaker.
And I'm Julie Starbird.
Say hi, Janine.
Hi.
That's Janine, aka Aaron Pagel. And this is Podlander Drunkcast, an Outlander podcast. We are talking about episode 10, Prestonpans, or as we've been saying, Pressed on Pants. Which would really hurt.
It would hurt.
That would be really painful if your pants were pressed on.
Ow.
Right? Like press on nails?
It depends on who's pressing them on.
Julie, you made me a solemn oath that you were not going to talk about doing it
Well,
this episode.
did I say doing it? By the way, I would like to apologize to all of our listeners.
All 6 of them?
All 6 of them for, assaulting their earlobes with talk of doing it for like 40 minutes last time.
And
Sorry,
we should make this plain. First of all,
mark me.
Mark me. I have no such apology. I think that we should talk about doing it whenever we fucking please.
Hey.
I see what you did there.
Also, this episode it also didn't contain any doing it, and I have 0 objections.
Nope.
That's
No
fine.
fucks to give.
No fucks to give about the no fucks.
Oh
God, we've had more puns in 5 minutes than in every other episode we've had combined.
It's true.
Oh
under,
God.
Under 3 actually.
Oh,
So punny.
shit.
Okay, we got to bring it down.
All right. So this is Pressed on Pants, and it's largely based on real historical events, which I actually think the show didn't make super clear. There's one mention where Claire's like, "Yes, you will win the day," but it sort of made it seem like she wasn't totally sure, which I guess you can't be, right? Like they've already changed history based on her being there, so in theory,
It's called the butterfly effect.
yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Well,
It's a
actually,
movie starring Ashton Kutcher. Anyway, Patty. So we were afraid that maybe she'd already fucked things up, and so was she.
Yes,
You could see it.
But this really happened, and the Scots really did win. It really was 15 minutes, and so it's interesting from that perspective. They really did find like a secret hidey hole path. The Keanu Reeves really did lead them down a secret hidey hole path.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But it opens with this is like the second episode in a row where I have to be like, Bear McCreary, cheers to you, because I thought that scoring in this episode was just great. But it opened on this really cool moment where it transitioned from the theme song to bagpipes playing the theme song in the field. And that was our opening shot that Julie
And then
loved so
also
much.
British drums.
Yes.
It ended with it moved from the bagpipes across the battlefield to British drummers.
Pa-rum-pa-pum-pum.
Okay.
Sorry, bro. And then we cut from that to maggots crawling out of a dude's face.
Fucking dead body.
It was
just
so
there
gross.
on the road. Just a dead body.
My favorite maggot was the one at the very end of that sequence where it was just like the little pink guy that came out of his mouth like the world's tiniest tongue.
Just
like,
right here. It was really fucking gross. So there's a dead Scottish dude in the forest. Obviously, Claire finds him and is like, ugh, this is what the British are doing to the Highlanders.
I have seen too many men die in war. and
Right.
all that.
So it's just this dead guy in the middle of possible snow, or is it raining ashes?
I think it's snowing.
It did look ashy, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
but
it
what
was
would
snow.
be? Yeah.
Like, how could that happen?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it was snow.
All right.
But then she's staying there. She's staring at this dead body. Remember, she's just like dealing with her PTSD and stuff, so it makes sense. And then Jamie, who again on his list of things he does really well, 99% of the time is an excellent husband, defaults to the other 1% and says, "How long does it take to take a pish?"
Pish. Also, my response is, at least 5 minutes. Have you seen my petticoats?
Yeah, not easy. It's not easy.
I mean,
You've
yes,
got a kilt with nothing on underneath it. You
I'm
could
open
like
to the
stand in
wind.
place and pee.
possibly I'm open to the wind, but I still have to like hike this shit up because otherwise
Then you're trailing pee
I'm
around.
dragging piss behind me all day.
And that's not hygienic. And Claire is very concerned with hygiene.
And maybe for longer than all day, right? Because how often
yeah,
did they
they're on the
actually
road.
change those things? So she's just going to be carrying like basically what amounts to toilet paper around on her.
Yeah.
Used toilet paper.
Use toilet paper.
Oh, the good old days.
And you know, they're just it's not like the army has a ton of money. They don't even have a pot to piss it.
Oh my god. I'll fucking kill you.
I couldn't even get through it.
Oh my god.
That was just outside of 5 minutes.
I was gonna say, so have we hit the 5-minute point? Okay.
Oh god, I'm sorry.
Oh.
The other thing I wrote down was bitches be
Bitches be pissing.
pissing.
Hashtag pishin'.
Bitches be pissing.
Wasn't this a thing on the campaign trail recently about if you don't know that women use the bathroom? It's like everybody fucking uses the bathroom.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The thing where like Donald Trump said some bullshit about Hillary Clinton needing to use the bathroom, and it's like Bernie Sanders is like, everybody uses the bathroom.
Donald, are you telling us that you wear adult diapers? Because I would believe that.
Absolutely.
Depends.
Oh!
Oh,
You can go right to hell, Julie Starboard.
no high fives. No high fives.
No high fives. Nobody could fucking give me a high five. Okay, bring it back.
Oh my god.
So Claire is a voiceover, and there's the tiny maggot. And there are lots of maggots. There was some gratuitous maggots, but those maggots were having a great day. They were living their best life.
All right, so there's the flashback to seeing the dead guy on the road, and then they go back to the camp. And then does it go directly to the room with all the war planners? Like,
I think so, because after that is when Angus is spitting on the guy. Mm-hmm. So we go into basically the war room, it basically seemed to me like this. It seemed like Prince Charles was having a wonderful meal, and a whole bunch of assholes showed up. And he's
exactly
just
what it
like,
was.
mock me. I have to finish this roast beef sandwich.
mark me, stop talking so I can eat.
Yeah, he was just like he was just having his drink. He was just like, oh yeah, keep talking.
Yep. And then as the scene went on, you realize the quartermaster is an Irishman. Mm-hmm. The general is British? Scottish, right. Of course, Scottish.
The
There's
whole
no
rest
British.
Of the room is basically
yes,
Scots.
it's all Scottish, and then the Irish dude. And then Bonnie, Prince Douchebag, who I'm going to start referring to as BPD, is standing there in his fucking
plaid.
best brigadoon drag.
Yeah, so it's basically like, imagine that any of our current presidential candidates started wearing suits that were made to look like the American flag. Mm-hmm. It was that. It was basically like, no, guys, seriously, I love Scotland. it was the sartorial equivalent of pandering. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there he is with all these guys in a room, and
you set up your joke and you didn't finish it.
I know I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, so, an Irishman, an Englishman, BPD, and a Scotsman walk into a bar, and they try to decide on what to order. What do they get? Nothing, because they can't agree on shite.
But they all have terrible teeth.
And they all have really bad teeth.
No, that's not true. Those people have wonderful teeth.
Actually,
That's the most historically inaccurate thing.
that's true because seriously, some of them should have been gap-mouthed. But then you realize also that everybody in the room is like a 50 to 60-year-old dude with like no hair and like
Or lots of hair.
maybe
There's lots of long
testosterone
hair.
issues. And then there's Jamie.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's just standing there like, the fuck?
He's just like, what? I am very clearly the youngest and most virile man in this room, probably the one that will have to fight.
And there's the Irishman who's like, no, seriously, guys, it's going to be great. Let's go running through the bog. And everyone else is like, you're a fucking idiot. And Charles is like, I don't know. I'm just eating this sandwich. And then Jamie is like, no, but seriously, you're a fucking idiot. And that's basically where they leave it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my very favorite moments in the whole episode, they all leave and Jamie's just standing outside this room, like looking off into the distance, thinking about things. And all of a sudden, Charles just walks up behind him and starts talking. And because Sam Heughan's a good actor, he just turns around and listens. But what would have actually happened is Charles would have walked up and just gone, mock me. And he would have gone, ah! Oh, shit! That's what should have actually happened.
The first time he said "mark me" in this scene, and it's awesome when he does because there's this long pause and then he says it, I wrote down, I almost missed him.
I did. I missed Andrew Gower. I
Almost.
didn't miss Prince Charlie.
But then the scene was hilarious because you got all the
also,
guys
we
fighting
so we
about what
watched
to do.
together. And the first time he said "mark me," we both yelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, just yelled.
Oh, and he also tells everybody that it's important that this battle, whatever they decide to do, be it go through the bog or something else, be won because he has promised God.
Yeah, his dad and God. Then when he sneaks up on Jamie and Jamie's like, oh, hi, Your Highness. He says, hey, it's really important to me that once casualties come in, that the British soldiers get treated first.
And Claire is setting up the triage unit or the kind of like hospital in the Scottish fucking camp. So
Yeah.
that means that when all the wounded are coming from the battle, BPD wants the British dudes to get treated first. And
Because
it's
they're
like,
his father's subjects. And the whole point is that they're all... also, that's a real thing. That's a historical precedent. That really happened. But Jamie is like, so you shouldn't ever let anyone hear you say that, one. And two, I'm pretty sure my wife will not follow such an order. And then Charles is like, yeah, maybe not from her prince, but probably from her Lord and Master, Lord Brockturok. And then Jamie, you can see him in his head go, dude, have you met my wife? There's like, really? Do you this one time I spanked her and it did not end well for me. No, I don't. No, I'm pretty sure he doesn't tell her that.
no, he just goes, oh. You have this moment. And then it flashes back to the Scottish camp and it's camping.
Basically, in the
Everybody's hanging around the fire in their knitwear and their wool, just chilling and drinking beer.
Julie, do you have any idea why I wrote down Murta knife tasting? Did he taste a knife?
No, I don't know. Oh, no, I do know.
Ooh.
Hold on. So Angus is drinking beer out of his little sheep bladder, whatever the fuck Scotsmen do. And he'll take a sip, and then he looks over at the pig farmers who have volunteered their lives.
One of them's named Ross, and I don't remember the name of the other one.
Ross
Both those guys
and-
did a great job this episode, though.
I might have written it down. We might find it
The
later.
actor's name is Scott Kyle.
Scott Kyle.
Scott and Fergus or Kincaid. I see two single names.
Well, it's not Fergus, because Fergus is the
Oh
little
yeah,
fridge
you're right.
dude.
It's a little good. Yeah, Kincaid maybe.
maybe Kincaid. Anyway,
Maybe.
but Ross is...
So Angus looks over at the pig farmer with beer in his mouth and his big bushy black beard and just spits it all over him. And the guy just takes it like, all right, I'm not going to get in a fight with you. So it's very clear that they're sitting there waiting for orders while all these douchebags are fighting in the room about whether or not they're going to go through the bog.
and tempers are high, as they say.
Tempers are high. Everybody's a little bit, what is it that I say about basketball games? Chippy. Everybody's feeling a little chippy. And finally, it comes to a head. One of them kicks Gilf, and he's like, shut up, I can't take a nap.
Yeah, and I wrote, did you kick me, bitch?
Yeah. And then I had the word touchy, too. That's a good word.
Yeah.
And also, before I finish this, where can I get one of these enormous berets?
Oh, yeah, the slanty berets.
They're like all the way down to their shoulders. They're like,
There's just enough room for a bullet to go through them.
we'll get there.
Um,
So
But so what's the Murta knife tasting thing?
it was I will shove that knife so far up your butt, you'll taste it.
Right. Oh, God. Duncan Lacroix had a great episode.
Well, he always does.
Newsflash. We really like the pamplemousse.
Hashtag pamplemousse.
Remember all that stuff I said about how actually Jenny Marie was my favorite character? I take it all back. It is still pamplemousse. It is definitely still the pamplemousse. So he says, if you don't stop being a jackass,
Angus.
To Angus, I'm gonna shove this knife so far up your butt you'll taste it. That's why I wrote knife tasting. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. I also I wrote old timey war was so subtle. Why did I write that?
I don't know. But the big fact of the matter is what all the white dudes, well, they're all white dudes, I guess. What all the old dudes were fighting about in the room that affects these dudes is whether or not they can cross this bog that is between the Scottish Army and
they're basically,
the British
it looks like they're just not all that far away from each other, but really in the middle of this area that divides them is essentially like a wetland.
It's basically...
There's a sick burn in there somewhere where Jamie is like, I thought an Irishman would know all about the dangers of getting stuck in a bog. It's just great. It's just great. I don't know what that burn means exactly, but it was great.
So Jamie comes out of the meeting with all the dudes in power and is like, all right, assholes, we have to figure out this bog situation. Oh, Dougal, you should do this. You should take a horse down there and figure out how far we could get into this bog.
Oh, no, because what he does, though, Julie, is he goes, so, Dougal, let me talk to you a minute.
Yeah, a minute. This way.
I think what I'm going to do, me, Jamie Fraser, is take my horse and go and check and see if we can get through that bog. What do you think? And Duke was like, bitch, no, I'm going to do it. And Jamie's like,
yeah, that's right. Because I was like, I think Jamie wanted him to do that.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Jamie was like, yes, excellent. Here's something I don't have to give my body up for.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I got to get laid with this thing. Not in this episode, but...
So Dougal's like, sweet fucking A. How long?
Like,
100 yards? 120 yards?
Well,
120 yards.
Let's say, is 125? It could be 105. Oh, it should be 125. Let's say it's around 120. Yeah, okay.
So
it was actually a really funny scene.
So he gets on his horse, and it's still daylight outside, so the British Army can see this happen. He gets on his horse.
Oh, and that's the reason for the yardage, just so that that's where their musket balls can't get past or whatever.
Right. So he gets on his horse and starts riding down the hilltop towards the bog with his arms out like Gus Frame in Breaking Bad.
Like, yeah, come at me, bro.
Just straight up, just start shooting at me.
Yeah. Or like Creed in the video for With Arms Wide Open.
With arms wide open.
Like all Scottstat.
Ugh. Anyway, he comes down the hill. He's on the horse. Everything seems to be great. The British dudes start waking up like,
oh, they're like, what is there? And then all the Scots line up to watch.
Yeah, they're
and
like,
BPT shows up. Mm-hmm. And he walks up to the front. He's like, what a brave, noble gentleman. I don't think I wrote it down. But he's like, oh, this man, mock me. This man.
Wait, excuse me.
Hold on just a second.
That's 3 drinks.
That's one.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, I had 3 at once. I'm a pro at this.
That's 2.
So he goes down the hillside into the bog. The British wake up and start shooting at him. So you start to see the little pock marks of the bullets hitting closer and closer to him. And he takes the horse into the bog.
It's going okay for a while.
Which you think is okay, and you're like, oh, he's totally going to make it across. And then he is not going to make it across.
And then it goes full fucking Artax.
Artax!
Stupid horse!
Artax!
You can do it! You're letting the swamp of sadness get to you. You have to fight. You have to kill.
Artax!
Oh
yeah.
And then the horse,
yeah,
right. And then the horse is like, but this horse is smarter than Artax because this horse is like, bip it.
Oh no! Fuck this! No way! You're gonna get me out of here
and backs out.
Nah, man, nah. That was for Neil.
Dougal jumps off the horse. The bullets are literally landing like 2 feet in front of the horse.
You
at
can
this
see
point.
the little
Yeah.
like pew, 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 pew. It was either that or there are some very big tadpoles.
And Dougal jumps off the horse to like lead him out of the bog of eternal sorrow. And wait, is that a different story? No. Not sure. And then he turns around and a bullet goes right through his enormous beret.
Oh, and it flies right off his head.
And I'm like, wait a minute. those enormous berets aren't bulletproof?
Yeah, I thought we specifically asked for those berets to be Kevlar.
Whatevs. So he looks and he laughs, ha ha ha, and then he leaves with the horse. He goes
Oh no,
back
but
up the
you're
hill.
skipping. He's like, I wonder if this got me. Oh yeah, my beautiful bald head has a
One
big
scratch.
like a scratch on it.
Where the bullet scored it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, ha ha, looking at the British guys, flipping them off, and then they leave.
And while this is happening, Angus is up there. The prince is like, this young man has the strength of 100, blah, 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 blah. And Angus is like, yeah, that's our friend. Sweet. Who are you? And then BPD is like, I'm your prince. And then he holds out his hand, and Angus is, oh, God. Angus is like, oh my God, I'm at the prince. Oh, holy shit, I'm at the prince. And you can tell the prince is like not impressed. There's an underlying theme here, which is that the prince just kind of hates all the Scots who aren't Jamie Fraser.
It's true.
Which is maybe not the right idea.
Okay, so
So then he comes
Dougal
back.
gets back.
And everybody congratulates. The prince gives him. I was actually very charmed by this moment. Like a massive, weird hug.
Oh yeah, BPD grabs Dougal, and it's really weird. It's like, I thought to myself, if BPD was a word, he would be moist.
Ow.
And he just...
Did you just snort?
I snorted so hard it hurt me.
Oh, Janine.
He puts his moist chest on Dougal and is like, if I had 100 men like you, we would have already won this war.
And you can tell it means a lot to Dougal. And Jamie's all like, "See, I knew this would
that's
work
great,
out, and
that's
it's
great."
nice." And then they have.
And then I thought to myself, if I had 100 men like that, I'd have a hell of a fantasy life.
I'd never leave the bedroom.
I'm just saying.
I
wouldn't
I
even
would
have
have
to.
annihilated 100 men with my thighs.
Yeah, I would just need more delivery.
So then there's this charming little moment. A thing I appreciate about this episode is Graham McTavish really got to show his range. You know, there was a lot of really dark stuff, and it was very upsetting. And he had some very big moments.
We're coming up on some dark shit for him.
But that when he was talking about how the hero of the day had to go because he shat his brakes.
pants. He's like, well, the hero's got to go now because I shat my fucking pants.
And I have 2 points to raise about this. One, great comic timing. It was a great line. It was very, very funny. Oh, no, we'll make it 3 points. 2, he was on horseback. That's disgusting.
Oh.
And three,
What pants?
Yeah, what pants? I mean, I guess that means that Dougal is one of the Scotsmen who wears something under his kilt.
A never nude. There are dozens of us.
But I just don't see it, man. I don't see it.
No, I can't see it.
Yeah.
All I can see is Graham McTavish swinging
Yeah,
underneath.
Dougal strikes me as a
Commando.
Yeah, as a
Literal.
a free falling kind of guy.
Actual commando.
Yes.
Yeah.
Free balling.
All right.
Okay. So then we it's like, oh, maybe we should finally fucking check in with Claire once this episode. So she's there, she's teaching the ladies.
She's trying to put together the war hospital.
Yeah, like, you have to give them honey water. And the lady's like, that's stupid. And Claire's like, no, it's not. I'm from the future, asshole. And Fergus is there, and she's like, and Fergus is going to keep all the fires running. And he goes, women's work. Like, real quiet. It is women's work. And Claire's like, what'd you say? He goes, nothing, madame. So Fergus is a fucking sexist.
Well, also, Fergus is being an annoying kid in the scene. He's like walking around going, like touching all these things while she's trying to tell all these women about what's going to happen when all these injured men start showing up. Fergus has no... Okay, here's the bag with Fergus. It's sad to watch his progression in this episode because he actually has no idea what is about to happen.
Yeah.
And he really feels like he's ready to be an adult man and like move forward and go to battle, but he really has no idea.
That little kid, French little actor who is 14, Roman Barre, I think that's his name. Right?
Berman.
B-R-U-X.
Roman Barre. Guys, it's they're French. It just is a gift that keeps on giving. Anyway, he does a great job this episode. Funny shit, sad shit. He's great. And so they're getting the hospital ready. This, that, whatever. They all.
Claire obviously has one favorite woman who is obviously very capable. The younger woman. She's like, "You're strong. all right, here's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Everybody else, just follow my lead. I'm going to need
I
you.
got you, girl.
Yeah.
So they're getting the hospital all ready and shit. And then
The
Keanu
dudes-
Reeves shows up.
The dudes are in a room, and that was Neil, actually. Neil was the Keanu Reeves. That's
Yeah.
Neil's quote.
Yeah.
So all the dudes are in a room looking over maps like, how are we going to get around this bog? And then fucking Johnny Mnemonic shows up.
He shows up to Fergus and says, Madame, I think that women are less of the species. Also, I have a man here. He says that he must speak to the commander immediately. And so because it's Claire, she's like, great, he can talk to me.
Yeah, great, whatever.
So this Keanu Reeves looking dude comes in. And by that I mean he's very good looking.
Straight up does look like Keanu.
He looks like Keanu.
He looks like a cool
young
breeze.
Keanu.
Cool breeze.
Yeah, totally. He walks in and is saying that he knows a super duper sneaky path because it's his dad's land. Which, first of all, his poor dad. There's just a straight up war in his backyard. Whoops. So he's like, no, I can't fight because I'll shit my pants. And then Dougal's like, dude, that's not a problem. And he's like,
You can always take a bath, asshole, and get out there with a
it's
gun.
fine.
Come on.
Anyway, he's
Just
like,
get a
I
pitch
know
for
I
it.
can get him there. And he it tells him that like where the path is, and he has to talk to somebody and whatever. And Claire's like, "All right, Mr. Anderson," and Neil goes, "Mr. Anderson," and it made me laugh so hard because his name really was Mr. Anderson.
Oh my god.
It was
I
great.
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, Mr. Anderson.
Anderson.
I love Hugo Weaving. Anyway, so they bring him to the camp, and they're like, "Can you show us where on the map?" And he's like, "No, I don't know about no maps. I don't know what you're talking about, but there's a super duper secret path, and I can take you there."
Can you do it in the dark? Yes, sir. But wait. Okay, fine.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
It was fun watching this again as a book reader with two people who haven't read the books because both of them were like, no. Maybe you should make sure that guy isn't fucking with you. Guys, no, come back. No, seriously, guys, come back. And I was like, no, it's okay. It really is just a path.
But also, like, there's 2,000 dudes, and they're going to go single file down this path. Whatever. Seems like a bad plan, but we'll get to that in a minute. Because they're making this decision, and then everybody finds out they have to march, and then we have all the great bromance moments.
Yeah. And before we get to the bromance moments, mark me, we should probably take a quick break. Hold on.
Oh, wait, that's 2. Hold on.
Yeah, I need one more.
All right, so today, actually, we did luck out a little bit. I mean, we still paid for our own
We
beer.
still paid for it.
We still paid for our own beer. But it needs to be, mark me.
Mark us.
Aaron,
I'll do it.
you don't have to do it.
You don't
this
have to
time.
this
You
time.
don't have to this time. I'm not BPD. So, Empirical Brewing. If you're in Chicago, this place is amazing. If you haven't been to their tap room, it's great. It's on Foster and Ravenswood, right? It's right down the street from where we record. So today we went a little bit early to go check them out and I got like a tasting paddle, and then we had each a couple of pints, and then we got a growler of their rye cream ale,
Which is delicious.
and it's part of their experimental batch right now. And once they run out, it's gone. So everybody should go get it. It's like 5.4 ABV. It's really refreshing.
It is, as Julie said 2 beers ago, inherently sessionable.
It is inherently sessionable. Like, I've already had 5 of them, and I can still speak like a normal human.
But it's delicious. And you hear rye cream ale, and you think it's going to be a stout, right?
No.
But it's not. No, it is creamy, though. Like, it is, like, the actual taste of it. It has, like, a smooth, kind of silky thing. But it's just really good. Like, refreshing, summery. It's great. I also had a wonderful Saison. And we all had... Julie, what was
The
it called?
Gamma Ray Ginger Wheat.
That
which is their new
shit
thing.
was delicious.
So, you guys, Empirical, the science of beer. Check them out. I'm sure you can find them on Facebook. I'm an old. I don't understand how this works. But what I can say is this. Their beer is amazing. The people are friendly. And I got into a conversation with a person who worked behind the bar who had listened to the Outlander books on tape with her husband. And it was very charming.
And
maybe
what did her husband say? And what
her
did
husband said, she gave up because she couldn't, the prim British voice was too much for her, but her husband kept going, and her husband was like, no. You need to listen to these. They're extra dirty.
That's true. Davina Porter does the audiobooks, and she's awesome.
They're extra dirty. You should really listen to this. So anyway, Empirical Brewery. Hopefully one day we'll be in a relationship. But anyway, thank you for delicious beer today.
We hope that they like us, but we like them. So
We do like them a lot.
so yeah. Anyway, that's who we're drinking today. Empirical Brewery Rye Cream Ale.
Well, you heard at the beginning it didn't sound like a Miller Lite opening, right? No, because it was a growler.
I mean, that is a fine Pilsner beer.
It's a fine Pilsner beer.
But this is good. To this delicious beer. Yeah, Janine.
Beer.
Great. Okay, so going back. So there's this great plot thing, a structural thing.
Plot thing.
A plot thing
plot
that they
device.
do. And it's two characters that, to my recollection, are in the book. If they are, they're not major characters. And then Angus and Rupert. And they sort of set up these
Ross and come on. I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Kincaid?
Maybe
like
it's Kincaid.
It might be Ross.
Everybody else has a second name.
It's probably Kincaid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they set up this whole like rivalry, the farmers versus the Mackenzie warriors, and Angus, spits on one of them. But they both have a conversation where it's like, hey, if I die, you get my stuff and you'll take care of my wife, right? And the other guy's like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And also I hid all my money outside the pig trough or something.
And then he says something shitty about his wife too, though. He's like the harpy or what.
I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
It's not awesome.
Although I think that was because of the 6 kids, because he had 6 kids.
Right.
I mean, and I also...
But doesn't he call his own wife the harpy or something like that?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Um,
The she-hag?
Yeah.
Maybe it's she-hag.
I don't think it's she-hag.
I do think it might have been she-hag.
Besom? They're always calling people Besoms. Anyway, so Angus overhears this and he tries to draw Rupert into a conversation where he's like, hey, no, so you get my sword
Because that's all I have.
and you get my other stuff. And then
And maybe
Rupert's
you
like,
get my
fuck
whore.
you. I'm not gonna, oh yeah, and you get my whore. And no, you get my woman. And he says, she's a whore. And he goes, only part-time.
Part-time whore, part-time barmaid. Isn't that the truth? Hashtag real.
What?
Speaking of somebody who worked as a barmaid, you feel like a hashtag whore.
It reminds me, I forgot to show you one of my boobs today.
Not even a whore. I'm doing it for free.
Well, that would make me the whore.
Well, but I'm doing this for free. Like I get no payment.
Okay.
It's fine.
Anyway, so,
But
but
Rupert-
Rupert is like, no,
he
first of
doesn't
all,
like it.
you're going to draw the devil's eye on us. And
Right.
second, I'm not going to be sad about this. And this continues throughout with him. He doesn't want to say goodbye to Claire. He's just like, no, it's not. I'm not going to pretend like we're all going to die. Nope. Not doing that. And it's very affecting. For 2 guys that have been almost exclusively comic relief through both seasons, I thought they both did a fucking great job. What are their names? It's Steven something?
Those two.
Angus
Rupert
and
and
Rupert.
Angus, yeah.
Angus and Rupert.
Yeah.
Stephen Walters is Angus, and
Yeah.
Grant O'Rourke.
Oh, Grant O'Rourke?
O'Rourke, sure.
Is it O'Rourke?
I don't know.
Something.
O,
Yeah.
R.
Anyway, they
O'Rourke.
both fucking killed it. They did a
great
great job. It was very affecting. So they know like that they're on the eve of battle, and they go in to tell. They also talk. We can sort of speed through this, but they all talk Charlie into going forward with the sneak down the secret path plan, despite the fact that the Irish quartermaster's not there, probably because he's following Rainbow to the end.
Well, he knows where the treasure is.
He's after his Lucky Charms. There was a river. He had to dance.
Oh, you guys. Oh, we were doing so good.
Oh, Lord. Get it? Lord of the Dance.
Oh!
No.
Oh, that joke felt really Michael Flatley.
You too. Well, I'm cutting you off. I'm cutting you both off. Holy shit.
Okay. Get it together.
Apparently, this beer makes us really punny.
Rye cream ale is a punny beer.
All 6 listeners can tell us if it's funny or not.
Funny or punny, you decide.
You
Both,
decide.
one or the
Oh,
other.
you guys are so
Choose
great.
us.
Oh, it's like at the end of a Rap Battles of History video.
Julia Child.
All right. Anyway, so
Jamie comes out to talk to them at the campfire after all this has happened, and I think that this was the third time this happened in this episode.
where you see the knee.
Where he puts his knee up on something, and I'm like, Jamie really likes to Captain Morgan, you guys.
Well, also, I mean, if you had a knee like that, wouldn't you show it off?
I'd be well, he needs to show more.
Julie, you promised me.
That's all I'm saying. I didn't specifically say anything about
You know what?
physical
That's what
action.
following him on Instagram is for.
I'm just saying he does like to flash a knee Captain Morgan style.
It's a nice knee. Anyway, then he has a little heart-to-heart with Murtaugh, and that's great.
Oh my God. Murtaugh has an amazing monologue about what it is like to fight.
I wrote Murtaugh log.
Yeah, a Murtaugh log.
Oh, and also there was a lot of spitting in hands, and then Angus licked his hand when Rupert wouldn't shake his hand. That was a great little moment. Anyway,
it's very manly.
I hope that was improvised because it was very funny. Anyway.
But Murtaugh has an amazing moment where he just has this, he unloads in this incredible monologue. And seriously, Duncan Lacroix, if you're not a trained actor, I either hate you more or love you more.
Oh, he's got to be.
Because he to me feels, maybe with the exception of Katrina
Oh, and Tobias
Monzazaz, he feels the most like locked in and the most honest at all times.
He's really fucking good.
And I know that Sam Huon has had his moments, but it's there's a line drawn in the sand.
Oh, no, I mean, I think that most of the people in the cast have had their frankly, everybody in this episode have one. Graham McTavish is great. I found out Graham McTavish is on Preacher.
But Doug LaCroix actually doesn't have a very long career.
Oh, I know.
It's
He
very-
had
Oh no, we looked that up. That's why I was like,
Oh.
is he a trained actor or not?
Like he's like everything before 2014 is basically just him being soldier,
Right.
Artec, blah blah blah.
I bet maybe he was a theater guy.
I don't know, but anyway, he's really fucking good.
His bio doesn't have shit though on it, and he has a picture though, which to me, when I look at IMDb, means someone's paying for something. So even with this though, he doesn't have anything on it. So I don't know.
Maybe that's part of it though, is that he didn't. Maybe he just got cast in this role because of the way that he looked or the way that he spoke.
No
and then
way.
Just,
It's too important
he's
a part.
too fucking good.
The whole cast is good. If they just wanted somebody who looks super Scottish, they could have cast any of the other great actors in that part, because they've also increased the size of Murtaugh's role from the books. I mean, he's a hugely important character in the books too. Don't get me wrong. Especially all the stuff about him being in love with Jamie's mom, and then so he transfers that love to Jamie, obviously in a completely different way. That's all right from the books, and it's they do a really great job of it. But a lot of, especially in Paris, this like squad goals thing that the three of them have together does not exist in the books. Murtaugh is there for Jamie. He is not there for Claire. This Murtaugh-Claire bond is maybe my favorite adaptation choice, because it's just, I don't know. That was one of the points where I teared up in this episode when Murtaugh and Claire say goodbye. But, God, he's really good. Important question, all six of you.
All six of our listeners.
Would you buy a t-shirt that had Duncan Lacroix's face, a top, a can of Pamplemousse Lacroix with arms and legs added, that said I heart Pamplemousse underneath it? You got to let me know if you would buy that. Or really suggest a t-shirt. Any I Heart Pamplemousse t-shirt. It could also just say I Heart Pamplemousse, but I really just want his face on it.
Speaking of suggestions, we haven't called the people out yet.
End of the episode. We'll do it at the end of the episode.
So, hold up. We'll back up.
Yeah.
So, we're about to go into battle. It's the night before the battle. Pamplemousse has an amazing monologue about what it means, like, if you die, how you're going to die. He really does, like, have almost a St. Crispin's Day thing, but then we get another it's like false St. Crispin's Day.
He's
we get another
basically
one later.
saying, if we're raiding and it's just the clan, then my death means something to the clan.
Right.
But in a war, if there's 2,000 of us, my death means nothing. There has to be 500 of us that die before any death means anything. And that speech sort of hangs over the whole episode from that point on. But it's just so nice to see Myrta and Jamie have a conversation that isn't about the mechanics of something they're planning to do. God, it was really great. It was one of my favorite moments of the episode. Maybe one of my favorite moments of the season so far. I just thought it was really affecting.
And then we flash to the next. We
Oh,
flash
and then
to
he
that
spit
night.
on his sword. I don't know why there was the spitting motif, because
There was a lot of spitting.
There was
It's very
spitting
manly.
handshakes, right? There was a spit handshake, and then there was an aborted spit handshake where Angus licked his hand, and then after his little chat with Jamie, Myrta spit on his sword. I don't know. It was smart. Anyway, so then they go for like they say goodbye. Claire and Jamie have like a super hot kiss, and Fergus is like,
Milo, I would like to go to battle with you. I'm here to interrupt your kiss because I know it will make Judy talk about how there is not enough sex on the show, on the
And
podcast.
then they don't kiss, and I'm mad.
no, they do kiss. You could see there's tongue. You can see that there's tongue.
He interrupted the moment, so it's like that weird like hitch in your giddy up.
I want to go to war with you, monsieur.
Whatevs. So they leave that night. They march through the woods on their tiny thing, and my husband was like, wait a minute, I'm sorry. 2,000 men? Single file? Bonnie Prince douchebag?
Yep.
Because he was with them.
But to his credit, and this I actually don't think is historical. I think this is them making him slightly more sympathetic. He wants to charge in with them there as men. And Jamie is like, listen, this whole thing will not survive without you, and a victory will mean nothing to your father if you're not there to celebrate with him.
And then he says,
I'm not sure my father is all that fond of me.
truer words never spoken, douchebag.
It was great. It was so funny. It was just
It
a
was
really
like,
great moment of levity.
a very rare moment of self-awareness from douchebag.
And it was also just beautiful. They're in the dark, and there's all this mist, and they've all got their kilts over their shoulders, hiding their shirts. The whole thing was that whole battle sequence was fucking terrifying.
So they broach through the forest right at dawn. It's very heavily misted, like Scotland is, I guess. And then all of a sudden, all the Scotsmen.
We all hear that dog?
I hear that dog.
I thought that was a bird.
No, man, that's a dog.
Bouton,
Bouton. The Scots all rush out of the forest in their kilts, like in this mist. So like, there's even a sleeping British dude on guard, like a sleeping redcoat. They had no idea. And so all these Scotsmen come running out of the mist and just with their swords just lay waste to the British camp. And it's rough. There's
It's
a lot
very
of blood.
brutal.
It's very visceral because it's hand to hand. They didn't have enough chance to like get their cannons going really right away. That comes up later, but they were taken by surprise. The British were taken by surprise.
And that's true. Over in 15 minutes, there were very few Scottish casualties and a great deal of British casualties. And then the British ran, basically. And General Cope, was all like, no, guys, no, seriously, no, okay. And then just followed them.
right. So it's very clear that the Scots took the day based on the value of surprise.
Oh, and important, of course, Fergus fucking snuck in line.
yeah, he did.
His little perfect, cute
14-year-old.
little French little actor who was 14 with his perfect little face, just there holding like a butcher knife. Being like,
Just a tiny
Milo,
little
I
knife.
am here to kill the British soldiers.
And then you have this like weird slow-mo sequence of the battle. Obviously, it was all the blood, and it's very visceral and disgusting.
I think it's one of the best battle scenes I've ever seen on TV.
And then you see Fergus all of a sudden realizing the import of what is happening around him. And he's being shoved aside by all these full-grown men who obviously aren't going to kill this tiny kid with a knife. And so he keeps getting pushed aside, but he's like, his eyes are wide open, and he's seeing all these people being gutted alive and like throats cut. He's
Got
rough.
blood in his perfect hair.
He's got blood all over his face, and it's just horrible.
It's really awful. So they win, right? And you see it happens. You see bits and pieces out of sequence, but basically, Rupert gets just slashed wide open by a dude.
from like his hip to like
it's like
mid
a huge, very
abdomen.
serious cut. right? And then he's about to get...
Angus carries him back. He fucking fireman carries him back all the way.
Right. But you see not all that long after this, you see an additional flashback where you see that after he got slashed, he's about to get his head chopped off, basically, by a British cavalry. And Angus fires and hits the guy. And Rupert turns around. They have this moment where they nod at each other. And then a cannon blast basically hits Angus in the back.
Which you don't, like, it's so glossed over that you don't even really think about it. Right.
Because then he's fine. I want to remind everybody that gasp you heard was Janine. Janine has not ever seen a single episode of this show. So it's a testament to Outlander that he is this emotionally engaged in something he's never actually seen.
It's because of you guys sell it to me. Holy shit.
Yeah. It's very upsetting. So we see Angus fireman carry Rupert, giant Rupert, all the way back to Claire.
Tiny Angus,
yeah.
Fucking fireman carry fat ass Rupert, who he's done nothing but make fun of how fat he is for 2 years. Firemen carry him all the way back
while
to triage.
The other friends, Ross and Kincaid, also one carries the other back. The one carries the dead one back because he's dead. There's
already.
nothing he can do, and Claire's like, "Well, nope, that guy's dead. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do." So it's like a pretty clever fake out because you think, oh, well, Rupert's going to die. This is going to be awful. And that's the shot from the credits now where you see Claire stitching somebody up.
Right.
Obviously from this episode.
In the theme song where you see the bloody stitching, that's her with Rupert.
Yep. And Rupert refuses to leave his side and says, no, he's fine. And Claire says, okay, just don't go to sleep. And so then I was like, oh, my God, he has a concussion. He's going to die in his sleep. Nope. It was so awful. He got hit in the back with a cannonball.
That comes up later, though. Because we have to go through the Dougal cleanup shit before that happens.
Okay.
But wait, Fergus comes back, and he's like, his eyes are walleye, and he is lost. And Claire, like, runs out and is hugging him, and he talks about how he killed someone. But based on what we saw in what he was doing, I'm not sure that he did.
He does in the book.
Okay.
You don't see it, but he does in the book.
It seems like he was so shell-shocked by the reality of what actual battle was that he was ineffectual because he's a child. But anyway, he loses his shit.
Oh yeah, Fergus has had a rough year.
Yeah, this is a bad year for Fergus.
On the good side, he got adopted by people and no longer has to live in a whorehouse. On the bad side, he got raped. And then killed a dude and/or got so scarred by war that he thought he killed a dude. Ugh, whichever it is. That kid fucking killed that scene. He did so good.
So then
he and Catriona did a great job.
So they go back to the battle scene where the British have been laid waste to, and then we see Gilf.
It's just like in Les Mis when, because we can't go through an episode without a musical reference. Happy Tony's Day, everyone. Where Thénardier is going and robbing the corpses. It's a world where the dog eats the dog. That's a deep cut Les Mis track for you guys. And they kill for the something in the streets. It's a world for the... Anyway, Dougal is just killing all the people who are still alive. Which most of them were probably just dying, so you could consider it kind of merciful. But then I thought this was so smart. Again, not in the books. He recognizes a guy from season 1, from when Claire was traveling with the Mackenzies to get the taxes and shit. And there are 2 separate occasions where this guy shows up, where Claire is having an argument with somebody and is being kind of like manhandled. And Lieutenant Jeremy Foster, who's there and is just like, do you need assistance? Do you need assistance? Do you need assistance? And finally he shows up with a whole battalion of dudes. They're like, no, seriously, do you need assistance, ma'am? And she's like, no, I don't, but hi. And then that's how she ends up in the British fort where she gets punched in the tum-tum by Blackjack. But he's like an honorable guy, and he knows Dougal, and he treated Dougal with respect. So Dougal sits down next to him. They're having a chat. And Jeremy
is obviously very wounded.
Yeah, he says, I would appreciate it if you would assist me back to your triage. And Dougal is like, oh, you want me to carry you? I
then-
shat my pants today. I'm not doing this.
And then Jeremy says, you will never defeat the British
But it
Army.
sounds earnest, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
seem dickish.
It's not
He's
like he's
saying
being a
like,
dick.
listen, you have a great victory here, but you cannot beat the British Army.
There's no way you can do this. And Dougal's like, America! Fuck yeah!
And
this
just-
stabs the shit out
and
of
then
him.
literally twists the knife.
He does twist the knife.
He literally twists
So, Dilf? Psychopath?
it. Gilf.
Gilf.
I mean, I guess Dilf too. A Gilf
Da-da
is by
Dilf.
nature a Dilf. He's a double Dilf.
He's a Dilf. Dilf. Anyway, psychopath? Probable.
He's got a real issue, regardless. And
All right. So he kills Jeremy, and then we flash back to
it's
the triage
awful. And
thing.
you know what? Cheers
It's
to that
rough.
actor for doing basically 2 episodes of work, like a year and a half apart, and having not all that many scenes and killing all of them. Whoever
Yeah.
that guy is. Do you see Jeremy Foster on that list,
I
Janine?
do actually. I thought this was Keanu Reeves for a second, but it's Tom Brittney.
Hey,
Tom Brittney,
Brittney.
you did a
Good
great
job,
job,
buddy.
bro. That was great.
Good job, bro.
Anyway, so then we jump back to the hospital, and
There's British dudes and Scottish dudes, right? Because BPD already told us that they have to treat the British dudes. And then what is it that makes... Oh, Claire is afraid that Jamie...
So Jamie got stepped on by a horse.
Yeah, she's afraid that he has kidney damage.
We'll add this to the list of things Jamie's not good at. He is not good at avoiding being stepped on by horses.
He's a weak seaman. He can't sing.
His not good list is so small.
and he's not good at avoiding being stepped on by horses. Oh, and he's really not good at not fighting Jack Randall and or not cutting his dick off.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's the list, really, as it stands. So Claire's afraid.
And he's
she
not
sees...
good at saying the word piss.
Pish. She sees the horse trample on his fucking shirt, and she's like, okay, go pee into this glass jar to make sure that there's no blood in your urine, that your kidneys haven't been fucked with. And he's like, fine. And then he takes it away, and does he offer it to somebody else?
He hands it to a British officer and is like, will you hold this for me while I take aim? And he says, 6pence says you can't get it in from here, mate. And then there's like, first of all, it's a literal pissing contest.
Literal pissing contest.
But it's really
Dudes.
funny. It's just like these people who are not all that different are just having a laugh about whether or not he can pee into a cup from a certain distance.
You guys.
Right? And
really,
then
though.
right when that's happening, BPD walks in. And
There
everyone
he is.
turns around and is like, curtsy, bow. And Jamie's like, oh, no, but I'm peeing right now. I can't stop it. I can't interrupt the flow. I can't interrupt the flow.
And I was like, damp chill. Ew. Moist. Moist enters the room.
So as this is happening, he's walking around talking about the British soldiers and how they're all brothers and blah, blah, blah. And Dougal runs in and is like,
DMX.
why? Why are there British dudes in here? And then he just tries to straight up murder one of them. And the prince is
Y'all
like,
gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. It's like that.
and then the prince grabs him by the face. He does so much face touching. He touches everybody's face. He touches Jamie's face like 6 times in this episode.
Mark me.
Mark me. He
Don't
is a
touch
hell
my
of a
fucking
face toucher.
face.
I do not have 3 drinks worth
I ran
left.
out of beer.
No, I only
You
have
already
like
marked
one
me so
drink
many
left.
times.
Fucking mark me.
Mark me. So basically, then Jamie is like, what do we do with this man who, mark me, I will never have him be a part of my army? And Jamie's like, I know, let's promote him. Let's
Captain.
let's make him a captain.
Of a commando
and they
unit.
go and they harass the lines and shit.
Behind the cover of dark.
And then you never have to see him again.
Like
And Charles
guerrilla
like,
warfare.
James, you have a fine mind and a beautiful ass.
Mm-hmm. Kiss.
And then, no, Jamie's got better taste than that. And then Dougal's like, hey, thanks for sticking up for me, but I know what you're doing. You're just trying to get rid of me. And Jamie is like,
And then BPD has the best line of all season, which is, see that he does not come to regret my benevolence.
yeah. Also, at one point, he calls Dougal a rogue. And I would just like to say that having now played D&D for a year and a half, like one of those bandwagon assholes, that Dougal is definitely not a rogue. He is a fighter.
Yup.
He's a fighter. You could maybe make a case that he's something else, but he could be a paladin. He could be a
Maybe a
paladin
barbarian.
if his belief is Scotland. Sure. Well, because the British thought that Highlanders were barbarians, so that works too. But he's definitely not a rogue. The only rogue in Outlander is Fergus.
Fergus is a rogue.
Because it could be Claire, except for Claire is a terrible liar.
Ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, Master Raymond is a wizard.
Just to offer a secondary definition of rogue, though now I feel bad about this. Well, started. An elephant or other large wild animal driven away or living apart from the herd and having a savage or destructive tendencies.
Oh!
All right, you know what?
Okay. All right, I'm going to give you that one, BPD.
Yep.
Just not in D&D, BPD.
D&D, nah. BPD,
So-
yay.
So then basically the shit hits the fan. So we already know that the one friendy is dead, right?
The pig farmer.
And then, Angus has
Rupert-
just been sitting there watching Rupert breathe.
Because Claire was like, you have to make sure he stays awake, sit here by him. And Angus is like, no problem. And because Angus doesn't look like he has any wounds on the outside. Claire
But
thinks
Angus
he's
is the one who
okay.
has to stay awake because of the concussion.
Right.
Right.
But Angus is the one that looks okay.
Yes.
But is not okay.
And then all of a sudden, he just starts coughing up blood. And then Claire yanks up his shirt, which is a thing he's been dreaming about since season 1. Mm-hmm. And he's got a big cannonball mark. And he's just been bleeding internally since he got hit with a cannonball, and then he just dies.
He coughs up blood, staring into her eyes, while she holds him like she has held so many other soldiers
It's just
in
awful.
World War II. And she just knows how to do it. And it's very clear that she is obviously upset, but obviously calm. And he just dies.
It's so awful. And then Rupert gets up with this big fucking gaping wound and stumbles over.
He's just been sewed shut.
And picks up Angus's... I'm tearing up talking about it. And picks up his sword.
Which is what Angus said he could have because that was all Angus has.
And then he just walks back and curls up with it in his fucking bed. Oh my God. Oh, it really got me.
It was rough.
It was really rough. And then a little bit later, he and the other friend
that night they're carousing by the fire because they won the battle. And then all of a sudden, the alive pig farmer and alive Rupert come out drunk as fuck
and
together.
singing this song.
Singing about their friends.
And it was just that I don't remember. Do you remember who said "War tastes bitter no matter the outcome"? It must have been Jamie. That sounds like a Jamie thing. Mm-hmm. Around that time, right? And Stephen, what's his face? What was his last name? Angus.
His Stephen Walters.
Stephen Walters just fucking annihilated it.
So it was a drinking song about your friends.
Yeah.
And about being drunk and dying.
And then this last shot, everyone cheers. Everyone puts their arms in the air and cheers, and it just stays on Rupert's face, and he's just like staring at nothing. And then it cuts to the credits with first it's no sound, and then there's a little light underscoring, and it just ripped my fucking guts out.
I didn't even see it. My fucking heart hurts.
Yeah,
Damn
Manly
it.
man.
pressed on pants.
Pressed on pants.
However, there's one other thing I would like to. Well, no, two other things I would like to add before we go to our rating scale. Oh, three, because we have to talk about the people we're shutting out. So, one, if you're watching on Amazon or on Stars, anywhere that has those little behind the scenes featurettes, the guy who wrote and produced this episode,
Ira Stephen Bear.
He's got a bright fucking purple goatee, and when he showed up on the screen, all three of us just yelled for joy.
Yeah!
Oh, it was fucking amazing. He has a bright purple goatee. That shit made me so... It was exactly what I needed after watching Rupert mourn his friend by staring. It was fucking amazing. And also, it's a super duper well written episode. So, like, cheers to you, Irish Stephen Bear.
This was a very good episode.
The only
I didn't even miss doing it.
No, we were like, no, I'm so glad they didn't do this episode. It would have been out of place.
Shoehorned in and ridiculous.
But the only thing better than the way this episode was written was that purple fucking goatee. That shit was amazing.
Perfect.
2, after we watched this episode, we needed a palate cleanser.
Oh my God.
So we were just browsing through the movies that Stars
On
has
Amazon.
on Amazon, and we watched Roll Bounce.
You guys, Watch Roll Bounce.
Watch Roll
right
Bounce.
now.
The next time there's a really rough episode of Outlander, just go watch Roll Bounce. You still might cry. We cried. But it's Lil Bow Wow, who now goes by his real name.
But whatever, at this time, when this movie was made in 2005, might have been just Bow Wow.
It was just Bow Wow. He was past the Lil, but wasn't being a real person yet. So, but he's great. And it has Shy McBride, who's from Boston Public. And it's just easier if you call him Boston Public. And it's about kids doing essentially roller disco in the 70s in Chicago. And that
South Side versus North Side.
Oh, it was so good. Oh, it was
But it was
so
an
good.
incredibly diverse movie. The costumes were fucking amazing.
Julie kept going, I want those pants. And then 5 minutes later, she'd say, I want those pants.
I want those pants. I want those pants. And also just seeing like what it was like to live in Chicago in the 70s was amazing.
3, before we do our scales. So we've been saying for a couple weeks, please review us on iTunes. And 2 of you listened. And because iTunes usernames are bullshit, I have no idea who either of you are. It was like, oh, and then like, boop, beep, boop, right?
Maybe we
But
can look up the actual usernames for you guys right now.
okay, thanks. But wrote just 2 really wonderful reviews who absolutely made our day on Friday when we saw them for the first time, because I hadn't checked in a while. And we have some great ratings too. Thank you to everybody who's given us a rating, because the rating is really high and that is excellent. But those reviews, I laughed out loud. To the person who ended their review with hashtag RIP Dick Fox.
That would be K. Clark B.
K. Clark B.
K. Clark B,
Thank
thanks.
you. And then what's the name of the second one?
I'm going to go, this I think is phonetic. LED.
LED.
Kitchen above
I want
to buy a Munsons.
I would like you to know that we really want to find an opportunity to make ponchos that say Podlander Drunkcast on them, specifically so that we can send you one, so that when you're listening to the show, if you spit out your beer, you won't ruin your pants.
Mm-hmm. You're pressed
on
on
pants.
Yeah. Ayo.
All right. So we'll go through the doing it one really fast. On a scale of let's say Saving Private Ryan to what's the doing itest war movie?
I don't know. I'm gonna go Saving Private Ryan.
Why don't we go like?
It's completely unnecessary.
What about Biloxi Blues? There's not a lot of doing in it, but there's a lot of sexual
But that
tension.
was necessary to it. I will straight go. I
Saving
don't
Private
do
Ryan?
this very often, but I will go with the baseline choice because it wasn't necessary.
Yeah. No, and that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
It actually it made me think of Saving Private Ryan because of that moment in the D-Day sequence when the kid gets shot in the helmet and he takes off his helmet to look at the bullet hole and then he gets shot in the head. Oh God,
God damn it.
I watched Saving Private Ryan behind a man in his 70s who wept the entire time. It was very rough. No. Anyway, okay. So costumes on a scale, we'll go with some war shit again. Let's go on a scale of, let's see. How about, no, maybe not war shit. We'll abandon war shit. Band of Brothers, that's war shit. Band of Brothers to Heroes, the television series.
Oh.
Wait, did we go positive to negative?
Yeah, no, that's bad.
So,
I'm trying to think of, no, how about Wrath of Khan?
Ooh, okay. Well, it's closer to Band of Brothers because it really feels like the costumes in this episode minus BPD
Yeah.
were very utilitarian. There's not like a lot of like showy shit. And
Although
then-
I did love
Wrath
that
of
they
Khan, though,
used the
you know what?
kilt.
Wrath of Khan is an interesting choice because Khan has all the fancy shit. I'm gonna go. You know what?
What?
I'm gonna go Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Sweet. That definitely won an Oscar for costume design.
Yeah.
And then people were mad because that woman wore jeans.
Yeah. Not Fury Road.
Oh, right.
Beyond Thunderdome. Tina Turner with big shell earrings.
We don't need another
hero.
style.
Yeah. All right.
Buttertown. Yes.
Great. Okay. Last scale. On a scale of... God, every time I just want to say Ken Burns baseball now.
That's because it's the best.
All right. Let's say on a scale...
Ken Burns Civil War?
No. On a scale of, let's say, PBS Pledge Drive.
Oh, Jesus, mind, brain, body.
Wait, we're talking about the one that has Red Dwarf playing the entire time, right?
No, we're
PBS
talking.
Pledge Drive, they play Red Dwarf for like.
No, we're talking about the actual
the one
pledge
where they're
drive.
like,
Oh,
call
okay.
in and yeah.
You can get this commemorative tote bag and this plate with Downton Abbey on it. So on a scale of PBS Pledge Drive to, let's say, Silence of the Lambs, where is it on a get up to get another beer scale?
Oh my God. Okay. There was a definite point when we got up and got another drink. Like actually, literally, when we were at my house watching this.
Yeah, but we paused it.
We did pause it. It was a pause-worthy moment, though. It was right before the battle.
And it was, but I will say this, it's because we needed another drink. And that's an important factor, I think. Mm-hmm. Right?
Well, if you're smart, you'll just have a bottle of wine or maybe a six-pack of beer with you. If you're not, there is a moment about halfway through the episode where you could do it. So by do it, I mean pause and go get a drink. So I would say...
Clarification needed.
Well, it is needed because everybody thinks that's all I talk about is doing it.
You think that's all you talk about?
It's because it is all I talk about is doing it. So,
So what would that make it?
That would make it like if we're gonna go PBS, I'm gonna take it straight to the fucking cooking programs, and I'm gonna say it's like halfway through a program of Stephen Reichlin Project Smoke. For those of you who don't know what that means, I'm sorry. For those of you who do know what that means, you're welcome.
And I just want everyone to know that Julie just acted like the people who do. She pointed to one side of the room, like all the people who don't know are on this side, and all the people who do know are on this
Haters to the left.
Radio.
Just so we know, everyone who didn't know was on my side.
So that's it for this week. We're getting close to the end here. That was episode 10. I think there are like 14, 15 episodes this season. Mm-hmm. It's less than last season. And after this, we're going to do season 1. But if there's anything else that you think that we should be talking about that we're not addressing, tweet us, Facebook us. We have a Facebook page now.
We do have a new Facebook
You can find us
page.
by searching Podlander Drunkcast. Because for some reason it won't let me create a custom URL. I don't know why. But you can find the wallpaper that it took me 24 hours to make. And by that I mean it took me 2 seconds to write I Heart Pamplemousse above a
That
picture
shit
of
is
Declan
the
McClaw.
jam, no.
Just a heads up. I just typed in Podlander Drunkcast and Outlander Podcast, and Facebook tells me 1,000 people are talking about this.
Well, that is not true.
That can't be true.
Facebook is awesome. They love us.
Well, maybe, I don't, God, did we accidentally say something racist and so all of a sudden we went viral? I don't think so.
Maybe we're just too about ladies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
insane.
Anyway, we fucking got doxxed by the MRA. Mm-hmm. That's more likely. Anyway, thanks for listening. If there's anything else that you want us to talk about, let us know. And again, seriously, thank you to those of you who have reviewed. It really made our day.
Please do it. If you do listen, please leave a review on iTunes. It's great for us.
It really is.
We promised to try and send you a GIF. We had a GIF conversation after seeing your reviews.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah. We'll send you an appropriate GIF of how you've made us feel. It'll probably be
RuPaul related.
or it'll be Duncan LaCroix wiggling his eyebrows. Mm-hmm. One of the two. You could choose. RuPaul or Pamplemousse. You choose. And then maybe we'll send both. Anyway, so thank you so much for listening. And I'm Allison.
And I'm Julie.
And that's Janine.
Hey.
Have a great week, and we'll see you next week to talk about more worship.
Bye.
Bye.